Evening, everybody.
Okay, there, now you start.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our next episode of Married Lifers. Tonight we'll be talking about relationships, one aspect of relationships, the ups and downs. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of different avenues to go through. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to touch on a bunch of different subjects when it comes to relationships because, as you know, inside prison and outside of prison, relationships are wild.
so first off, one thing people don't consider is like it's simple, but just when we don't get a phone call from them, um, we start to worry, we start to think the worst, whether something happened or if it's a lockdown, safety, it's violent, just so many things. Like it just plays on our emotions so much. And I mean, we're alone to deal with that. So it's just kind of heavy on our mental and our heart sometimes.
So, I guess we should have said this before we started. We started, we started at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. When we said we were going to start at 8:30. So either this is going to be the thing with us. We're either going to be late or we're going to be early. That's just the way our life is, I guess. Um, but yeah. So I guess, I don't know, you kind of want to talk, just me and you talk a little bit before everybody starts jumping on?
Sure.
Yeah, because I just messaged a few people too that are following us, just to let them know we started early so we're not in here by ourselves. Like we said, there's a bunch of different aspects as far as relationships go. There's things that we're going to touch on. Like, what other topics did we talk about? We're going to talk about probably in our next episode. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out and let you guys know, as we name it. But what it's like to actually be a prison wife, the difference between the prison wife and there's obvious difference, but the difference is between being a prison wife and being just a regular wife. You know what I mean? The huge difference is most people know you just from knowing the basics of prison life. But there's a few different differences. There's a lot of similarities. People don't understand that. They think that because our husbands are locked up that we stop our lives, that we just stop it and everything is them. In a sense, that is true because, my free time revolves around my husband, as Alicia does. We're on the phone constantly with them. We're at visits every weekend with them as much as we can be. But we still have lives that go on outside of that. I work 2 jobs right now. I have 3 kids. Granted, they're grown and they're finally all out of my house. But
A little too happy about that one.
Yeah. I'm not happy, but I gotta.
You have to embrace
my life. Yeah, because if I don't, I'll be crying on here, and I'm not trying to do that nonsense. I know my husband, even though he's in prison, he took it hard when our daughter finally left. So, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of different things that go into relationships. We talked about kind of. I guess we can jump into the whole communication, yeah?
Okay.
So we were talking earlier. Alicia is my lifeline. She's who I go to when I'm upset, when I'm happy. Like, she's the one that understands. Like, I do have my best friend also, but she doesn't understand a lot of stuff that we go through. Like, you can call us crazy together, right? Because we'll hype each other up. Even sometimes when we're wrong, we'll still hype each other up. But like, she understands, when I'm feeling disconnected from my husband, or when we fight and he doesn't understand, my perception on things or my point of view. Like, Alicia understands that. And it's good to have that one person that does get what you're going through. Like, it helps to make these things easier. 19, 20 years ago, when me and my husband first started, I didn't have that. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have that. I'd go see him. I was coming from another state to go see him in Arizona. And so, I didn't have somebody to lean on when I was upset or when I was feeling lonely or, when we were fighting over shit that people don't understand. Um, so I know the difference between being there back then and then having somebody now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, whether there's support or not, like even having support from, like you said, your best friend, I have that support too. And it's just different because they don't understand it if they don't experience it. Like it's very much appreciated and never like forever grateful for it, but it's just different being one to experience it. And I mean, I have my my closest friend, she also has her husband incarcerated, but it's a different dynamic because he's coming home soon. And she understands some struggles are similar, but at the end of the day, it's just a very different impact having a a date to come home versus it being up in the air. And that's something we will touch on later too, all the dynamics of that, but yeah.
Yeah, that I don't know about you, but sometimes, like, just to throw it out there, when I'm on TikTok, like, I see girls happy, having the videos of picking up their husbands. You know what I mean? And I have hope, and God willing, my husband will be home one day. But it's different for us that know right now there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. Um, with the girls that have that light. And don't get me wrong, when I see these TikToks and I see it, like, I am envious because I want that one day with my husband, you know what I mean? But I am happy for them. But it stings a little different, I think.
Mhm. I agree with that. Like it stings like dang. I can't wait to finally have that come to fruition. But, it's never jealousy or negativity. Everybody deserves to have their person come home.
Yeah. So that's why I say, like, kind of envious, because that's what I want for myself. Like, I'm happy for them, but I want that one day with my husband as well, you know?
Mhm.
So it is a little hard sometimes. We go through emotions like everybody else does. Uh, it's sometimes, for the most part, we get through days, they're the same. It's, in and out, but sometimes they're harder. Like right now, my husband's struggling a little bit. Um, we go up and down. All we can do is be there for them and them there for us, you know.
Mhm. And like as far as communication goes, I mean, what a lot of people don't consider, like communication is key in any relationship, like period. So for us, that's majorly all we have is communication, and majority of it is over the phone. At most, we get in-person visits like 4 days out the whole month at most, and that's if we go every single weekend. And then there's video visits, but if they're taken up or if we don't get to it in time because we're busy with our second jobs or school or our jobs, like that sucks. Well, we have to wait till the next day or the next day or the next few days. And then on the phone, I mean, that's limited too because there's the times that they're let out and we don't have control when lockdowns happen or things like that. And it varies facility to facility. Like each schedule is different. Like for my husband, I
Yeah.
don't talk to him until, or I can't talk to him after 7. I have my whole night still.
So do you mind saying what custody your husband's at?
Yeah, he's in closed custody, so that's part of the reason.
So that's going to be the difference for her and I. Our husbands were at the same facility together. That's how we met. I started the Lyman group, and we met through Facebook pages and stuff like that. So that's how we met each other. My husband got moved from where he was previously to where he is now, and so their custody levels are different, right? So I have more access to my husband than she has to hers. So for out here, I don't know how it works in other states, and we'll touch on that with some other ladies, some other guests that we have, that we're planning on having a few other guests that are in different states so they can touch on what they go through, right? So out here, every facility is different. They should be going off top. Everybody should be like uniformed, right? It's not like that. So where my husband is now, I can talk to him till 10:30 at night. Where my husband was previously, I would be lucky if I got to talk to him at 7:30 the latest. So, and then with the different custodies, as far as closed custody, general pop, there's incentive pods out here, which the incentive pods where everybody tries to get because they have, they have options there. They have better beds, they have better couches, TVs. They get a
They
place.
actually have couches.
Yeah, there you go. I should have said better. They have couches. Okay, so my husband's our special guest tonight, and he's calling.
For you, except for a
What were we just talking about?
Communication and just the difference of schedules between mine and yours.
Because he's going to ask me, and then he gets mad if I don't know what I'm talking about. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Hi, my love. We're on.
What's up, ladies?
Hello.
So we're talking about communication, babe. I was going to kind of touch on the way we communicate a little bit, if you want to talk about that.
All right. Oh my God, you yell about me all the time about communication.
So what are the three acronyms we talk about all the time?
THC, not the smoky kind. Trust, honesty, and communication. Trust me enough to be honest with me and communicate with me about anything. It's better to be hurt by the truth than to be devastated by a lie.
And how do you think we do with that?
What?
How do you think we do with that?
We do good now. Before we didn't do good.
No, we didn't.
But we do good now because now you always are on me, bullying me to communicate, so I communicate now.
Sir, I'm not a bully.
Of course, you push him into emotional growth.
It does work.
I know.
What?
Tell him what you just said.
I said she just pushes you into emotional growth. It's a good thing.
Yeah, but it is a good thing. It's just sometimes that we get stubborn, or so like in here, I get in a robotic zone where we do things a certain way, so everything becomes monotonous, and you're so used to that. So when it comes to dealing with things outside of that, sometimes I forget that, like she tells me, you're not in prison, I'm not in prison, I'm not your friends, I'm not this, and that. So I have to get myself out of that zone to deal with her and talk to her or open up or say how I'm feeling, because I'm so used to just bottling stuff up. So now that we do that, I can communicate better, and then we're both on the same page. Or at least if we come to an understanding where we both understand the subject or whatever, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think that was like the hardest thing for me to understand with him, is the agree to disagree, because I'm the type of person, I guess I am somewhat of a bully to him because because when I believe something or I think I'm right with something, like I'll keep arguing the point until you either just get tired or you give in to me, and he will not. Like he's as stubborn as I am. So, we're one and the same when it comes to that, because we both won't give in. We'll dig our heels in, and that's a wrap. So we're learning, like, we're not saying that we're perfect or our communication is perfect, because that's something that we work on daily. We just had this issue last night. We talked about, sometimes you need to just sit back and take a moment, because you need to listen to understand, not listen to reply. And I think that's the biggest problem in relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship or friends. We don't listen to understand. We listen to reply, because with me, I always have to be right, and I'm not always right. And he loves to point that shit out. Don't you, babe?
He's like, I plead the fifth.
No, he'll tell me. My husband is definitely not shy when it comes to letting me know that I'm wrong.
Mhm.
Like, he is not. So, I mean, we go back and forth, especially when it comes to our daughter. Like, I think that would probably, would you think that was probably one of the biggest ones that we struggle with sometimes, babe?
That we do what?
That we struggle with when it comes to our daughter, like communicating and trying to agree to disagree when it comes to her?
Well, yeah, I'll say with like discipline or like letting her do certain things or something like that. Yeah, because you're a little bit more. My overprotectiveness is different from yours. So like, but at the same time, I'm over here, so you get to deal with things hands on and deal with it from a female's perspective, and I deal with it from a man. So sometimes the way we see things or we feel or do things are different. And then, like for me, I also am like when it came to our daughter, like I don't want to raise my kids or discipline my kids or communicate with my kids the way my parents did me. So I always try to veer away from that. So then I try to look at everything when I'm dealing with them, so that, you know what I mean? Like, but there's certain things that I do admit. I even admit to the girls that because they're girls, I'm extra strict or overprotective, or I feel a certain way that I wouldn't with boys. So, you know, it sucks to be a girl because that's how I'm gonna treat you. But it's for a reason. It's not because I don't trust them. It's because I trust the boy. Because I used to be that boy.
You used to be the slutty boy.
Well, it's because we're not thinking the way girls think. Girls are already thinking about stuff. Girls are more mature than boys are when they're both the same age. Girls are already like 5 or 10 years ahead of us in the brain, the way they're thinking. You guys are playing with dolls and babies and stuff like that, family stuff, and we're not even thinking like that at that time. So when a boy hurts a girl, don't get me wrong, you do got guys that are out just to, you know what I mean, treat a female any old way, but at the same time, some boys, they're not out to hurt you, but their actions are going to hurt you because he's not thinking like that. He's thinking immaturely, you know what I mean, as opposed to, I want to have a family with you, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take care of you like this. He's not thinking like that. He's just like, well, I want to get with her, I want to be with her, that's it. And he doesn't care about any of the consequences or the responsibilities that come with that. And so, in the end, then they hurt you. So, you know what I mean? That's why I wanted to try to protect the girls from, even though there's certain things that we can't protect them from, you know what I mean, that they're going to have to learn on their own, but you know, it still doesn't stop me from feeling that way, wanting to still protect them from that.
Yeah. And I get all that. I'm just saying, like, as far as our communication, like with, I mean, we struggle with it both ways, but I feel like we have more struggles when it comes to her because we don't agree. So we have to learn to disagree.
And I get some parts of it too. Like you know what I mean. Like I feel protective of her. Like when you tell me something that there was a problem, and I'll be like, "Oh, what did you do wrong?" before you even mention what the problem was, I'm like, "Well, what did you do wrong? Why did you upset?" But and I know that is, you know, but I just get protective because that's my baby, and I was trying to make sure, you know what I mean, I got her back.
Whatevs. That's not being protective. Like, you're supposed to, I always tell him, dude, like, for parents, it should be the parents together as a team. And I'm not saying against the kid, but, you know, we're supposed to do it together. But not him, not my husband. I always say this, and he gets mad and she gets mad, but the sun rises and sets in her butt. Like, she can do no wrong when it comes to him. You know, we just had recent issues, and that was the first time in almost 19 years that he's got on her ass about what she was doing. The first time. Like, he babies the shit out of her. And granted, our daughter is super good. She's responsible. She's barely going to be 19. She's an electrician. She just bought her first car on her own, no help from nobody. And I mean, that car, you've seen it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I've never owned a car that nice. And I'm bougie. I have nice shit, but my daughter, and you know, I get his point on that because he's like, we kind of argued about curfews when she was in high school. And he was like, you know, she could stay out till 2. And I'm like, no, dude, like 12, 10. Like, don't play with me. But she's super responsible. She went out and she did drink with her friends. And instead of getting drunk, she called her, she has an older sister and an older brother. She called both of them to, 1, pick her up, and 2, pick up her car. So she still had the right state of mind to do that.
But see, but we disagreed on that because I said that she could stay out later, she could do this, this, and that, and you wanted her to come in earlier. But I felt like, one, she never gave us any reason to be like, no, you can't do this, and she's always did everything that she was supposed to. So since she's older and now she's she's almost at that stage. This was right before she was graduating, and that she's been doing good, and this is what all her friends are gonna do. You know what? Go ahead and do that. And we disagreed. I gave her a later time that she could stay out too, and my wifey was like, no, that she has to come in earlier, but it still happened. But she didn't even stay out late. But the good thing was she got drunk, and even though we knew that this was things that are gonna happen and stuff at a party and stuff, she called her brother and sister to come and get her, and she didn't drive home. She didn't come home like that or nothing. She had the conscious mind to actually call her brother and sister to come and get her, and that's what they did. Her sister went to go get her and brought her home. And she came home way earlier than what was her curfew, before what you laid down and before what I laid down. But she earned that. But see, we gave her the rope, and she didn't even hang herself with it. She did everything good because daddy gave her that chance.
I rolled my eyes at you, sir. But that's like something we argued about, like that as far as the communication, because I get his point afterwards, like, you know, she's responsible and stuff, but to me, she's my baby. I don't want her out there. Like, nothing good happens that late at fucking night. You know what I mean? And I want to do everything I can to prevent my kids from being hurt or prevent my kids from being in situations. I think that's the hardest part to learn is you have to let go. And so me and him, we had trouble when it came to our communication with that because I feel like he's way too much our daughter and he's not enough, like neutral. You know what I mean? So we argued about that a lot. And that was one of the biggest ones that I feel like we had to learn to agree to disagree instead of, you know, somebody has to be right or wrong.
Mhm.
But in our relationship, girl, I gotta win now.
I was ready.
You weren't right, babe. Whatever.
So as far as like support and stuff that you get from family and friends, like how does that influence communication too with you guys?
With what?
She's saying as far as family goes, like the influence family has, how does that influence our communication?
Our communication with what? Our daughter?
With family, like family being involved, like with their opinions. So like for the most part, I do have a big family, but the only ones that matter to me are supportive, or at least they say they're supportive or try to, you know what I mean? Like my mom's super supportive. She loves him. She talks to him. She's getting on the visits to go see him. My brother is the other one that, he supports me and they don't, you know, like I laid down rules with them at the beginning. Like you guys don't have to like my relationship. You don't have to be involved, but you don't need to have an opinion about it either. And if you do have an opinion, keep that shit over there. But I do know that like when I'm with my friends, because I was doing a lot of girls trips, or when I'm out and about with my friends doing anything, or even the kids, they're like, our daughter gets mad and she's like, you're always on the damn phone with my dad. But I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like my sister-in-law too. She used to fight with me about that. And I'm like, dude, you get to be with my brother every day, all day.
All day, every day.
Yeah, and this is all we have. So, you know, you guys don't like that. I accept calls in the middle of parties or, you know, out of graduation. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, suck a dick, because I'm not gonna stop accepting my husband calls because you guys are upset about it.
Yeah,
But-
and it's just different. They're not there physically, and that's that, you know? Like,
And
that's the equivalent.
And that's what I try to explain.
I don't
So,
have I don't have the same issues with family wise. You know what I mean? I got family, but I don't have family. If that makes any sense. So if somebody has an opinion about my relationship or something, nobody's ever told me or nothing like that. So I don't experience any of that. She actually keeps me in touch with our family outside of immediate family. So the communication is cool. I mean, but again, nobody complains or says anything, whatever. But like I said, never communicate with me like that anyway. So she knows stuff about my family outside of that I don't know, and she'll just tell me, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't care what anybody else said anyway. It's my life, so that's what's up.
how do you deal with it, Alicia? Like, do you have problems like that too?
I mean, at first, I could say not a lot of people approved, you know, everybody had their 2 cents and feeling like, oh, you deserve more, or what are you doing and stuff, you know, like they think it's like throwing your life away. But little do they realize, like, that even despite being behind those walls, our husbands provide more to us than any other man has, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in regards to my family, how they feel like in disagreement, I just let them know, like, I mean, ultimately, you don't pay my bills. This is my life. Like, if you like it or not, I mean, it's not going to change what I'm going to do. You know, I'm married to my husband. I'm not married to you. And I know people say, like, you know, when you marry somebody, you marry the family, but to a certain extent, no. Aside, and like you mentioned with your mom, you know, the people that matter, they don't mind. Like, they support me and whatnot. So, like my parents and my siblings. So that's really all I care about.
Yeah, and so like over the years, I've seen when people like when they get in relationships, because this happened to me years ago when I was younger. But I got guys too that deal with that, like with people, and I get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it. Like, you know, hey man, what are you doing with this guy in there? Or you know, there's that protectiveness when somebody cares, but then there's that fine line when they're hating on you because they're telling you all the negative. They're trying to steer you away from all that, but then they don't encourage you. They don't say, well, you know, well, good luck with it. I hope everything works out for you. Blah blah blah. They don't do that. It's always the negative. It's all these, you know, it's not going to work out. It's going to this and it's going to be this and you know this and this and. But then you don't get that. Okay, well, you know what I mean. I understand that. You know what? I'm there for you, and I support you in this, and hope everything works out. They don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like it don't make no sense when you can have a bad relationship out there. There's bad relationships. There's a millions of bad relationships out there. You know what I mean? What's the difference? Make it make sense.
Remember that damn saying, dude.
I knew that was gonna get you. But no, I totally agree with that. Because I could say, like, when I was together with my husband before we got married, but we got married while he's been in prison. And I won't say they were the most happy, you know, but they're like, do you understand, like, the weight of what you did? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I did. I thought about all these aspects, you know, do you understand what you're giving up and whatnot? And to me, I mean, by default, is there sacrifices? Yeah. But to me,
but there's sacrifice relationships outside the walls too. Like, no relationship is guaranteed. And I think that's the biggest problem that people don't understand. They're like, oh, it's negative because he's in prison. But dude, like, you can be in a relationship with somebody out here and they're a piece of shit. They're cheating on you. They're fucking bitches in your cars. They're, you know, doing all this extra shit. Like, no relationship is guaranteed ever.
Yeah.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So say hi to Petunia, babe. She's on. She said a strong relationship is built on communication.
Yes. See, communication is key.
Love you.
So yeah, we always say that too. Like we've
That's my day one.
but yeah, that's the
Hey,
biggest thing
so-
is communication.
Hey, so real quick, so there's a couple
You have 30 seconds remaining.
that are waiting, so there might be a little gap in my return. So
Okay, love.
I'm gonna try to hop back on immediately, but there's 2 waiting, so let's see who hops off next and blah blah.
She said, "Love you too."
Yeah, I love you.
I love you,
Well,
baby.
I'm gonna try to hop on for a chance.
Okay, I love you. Let me put you can go ahead and talk about what we're talking about. I'm gonna put the ring light on because I'm dark as fuck right now.
It did
You
get
guys barely see me, and I'm like, it's getting darker outside, so it's making the front room dark.
okay. So, yeah, just like we were touching base on earlier, communication is key in any relationship. That's really the foundation, and that's majority of all we do have. And a lot of people don't consider the fact that, like, whether it be family or friends, her and I have both gotten like comments like, geez, you're always on the phone with him, or you always have a video visit, or that's interrupting this event, or whatever, you know? And it's just something that people don't consider, like a relationship outside of prison. You're with your person majority of the time. And if that's your husband or wife, like you're with them 24/7. So you don't ever have to get away from them in the first place. So people, they don't see that perspective, and they kind of, in a sense, I guess, take that for granted because they have that 24/7.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like there's a lot of obvious differences, but they don't understand the similarities as well. You know what I mean? And that whole thing with because I got that bullshit from my boy cousins. They're like, oh, you're with somebody in prison. That's all you can get. They know better than that. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't have no patience for ignorance, for stupid shit like that or stupid comments like that. And they know not to play with me like that because I'm very vocal. I've always been.
Yeah.
My husband likes to call me a bully because I'm like that, but it's not a bully. I'm sticking up for myself.
You're having your boundaries and not letting anybody, yeah.
Yep. So, like, you call it what you want to call it. At the end of the day, like, nobody's going to talk down about my husband. Nobody's going to talk down about the father that he is to our daughter. Not in front of me. I mean, you could do it whenever you want, but don't do it in front of me because, how do you say it without saying it rude? My cousins or my family knows I have hands. That's just the way it is. Call it what you want to call it. I don't play about mine, and I have that's my go-to. And I know that's not probably the best thing, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So people know to tread lightly when they tell me stuff, but at the same time, they still say snide ass little comments like stupid shit, and it's like, me and my husband have been doing this for damn near 20 years. Like, we've had our hiatuses, if you want to call it that. We've done, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the best communication. Our relationship when we had our daughter, it was good for a few years, and then, I mean, it was not good. It's definitely been a fucking journey. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
But any life's hard. Like, everybody has their obstacles, and I think a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people definitely look down on us. Wow.
Whoa.
Cool. Kiki on the beats wants to jump. She wants to be a part of the podcast.
Right.
I know. She's getting all wild. But I forgot what I was saying. I got lost. Is that better? That's better, yeah?
Yeah, definitely a lot better than earlier.
So I have to. You seen my ring light?
But yeah, you were just explaining that every relationship has its struggles and challenges, whether it be, here like the way we're doing it as prison wives, or both people on the out, you know?
Yeah. And I think people seem to forget that. Like, that's my biggest argument with them. Like, it doesn't matter if they're inside or outside. If the person's a piece of shit, they're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? If they're solid, they're solid. I know for a fact my husband is solid. Like, I wouldn't trade him in for the world. And I told him, you know, we got some things going on where you never know. God willing, he'll come home. You know, nobody knows. Laws are always changing and stuff. But I don't know. Like, it's to me, it's aggravating. You know what I mean? Like, just to think the way people think and say things, and just right away because they know he's in prison, you look down on it. Like right away, that's the
ignorance and the judgment.
Yeah, the stigma of it, you know. But it's crazy because you get on TikTok and you see all these girls that are in the same situation. You know what I mean? Like going through the same things. Like before social media, we didn't know it was this many females. You know, some of them are full of shit. I've definitely seen them where there's inmate hoppers, I guess. I don't understand that whole thing, but to each their own. But, you know, me and my husband go rounds about that too. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So there's one that they blast. Well, there's a couple that they blast on TikTok where, you know, she'll be, there's a brazen one. Like, she's brave. She'll get on there and talk about, like, she's with this dude and they have her on video where she's with her dude that just got out of prison. And she's talking to this other dude that she says is her husband. And she bounced between them, and then she's talking to another dude that's in the same facility, and it's like, what?
I mean, yeah, to each their own.
It's crazy the things you learn on social media. I'm just saying, like, one, you never knew that there was this many girls going through the same thing, and it's cool we have somewhere we can talk about it. You know what I mean? And see that we're not the only ones struggling. We're not the only ones in this situation. There's some crazy ones that try to make it, like, glamorize it and, like, show Cash App receipts where they're getting thousands and thousands of dollars. Whatever. You know.
And to me, with those, though, it's like, why glorify it? And it's like, it puts such a bad light. Like, they're the reason why people judge so much, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, like, I'm not going to get on there and be like, oh, my husband sends me Cash Apps every day, all day. He pays, like, all my rent. He pays my kids' field trips and blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
And, like, it's like, what? I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but there's no way in hell that every other chick on here is getting that. You know what I mean? There's no way. There's just not.
And if your person is doing what they're supposed to, like, that's not even a thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are some that are probably legit, but for the most part, no, bitch, you're tripping.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the crazy bitches that are, like, sending their self Cash Apps and then posting it. You know what I mean? Like, what? So we can only do lives on here right now. We just added the I'm talking to Frank. Oh, it's Lacey. Hi, Lacey. Gerard was just on. He should be jumping back on in a minute. But we can't do lives on TikTok yet because we just started that page and you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So the crazy thing with that too, right? I've been on TikTok for a while. Avalicia's on there from one of my other profiles. You know, we don't got a whole lot of followers yet right now, but I put a couple of my husband's homeboys on there. Girl, we already hit like 6,000 followers because these chicks want to talk to him. And then the other thing too, like, I'm sorry, I'm going all off subject, but, you know, I put his homeboy on there and it was like, you know, to the song, blah, blah, blah. So girls are hitting up, you know, like, hi, whatever, but it's guys. guys get on there and leave these awful comments, dude, and it's like, what? Like, why are you worried about the next man? Like, it's you're that sad you can't get a chick on the streets. You're worried about a man that's in prison getting the chicks that you can't get. Like, I don't. It blows my mind. Like, I can't stand the trolls. Like, I have issues with that. Like, I'm like, and this is where my problem comes in with, I'd rather fight you. You know what I mean? Like, let's not talk, dude. Let's meet up somewhere. Like, I'm not gonna play these games with you.
Yeah, for them to take that time out of their day, like to, like you said, to troll, like for what is that? I mean, it doesn't affect anybody on the other end's life. Like, is that going to affect your life any one way or another? No.
So my husband gets mad too, and his friends are like, well, who is it? And I'm like, babe, like, you could put anybody's picture on a profile. You can use any name. Like, you can't find these people. They're keyboard soldiers. Like, they're brave to talk shit like that, but they can never say it to your face, right?
Yeah.
So I trip out on that because I have problems with some shit. Luna.
And to answer the question, yeah, on TikTok, it gets to 1,000. That's when live can
At a
happen.
correctional facility. For customer assistance, billing inquiry. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, babe, your cousin Lacey's on.
What's up, Lace? I ain't seen her since she was a baby.
Let me put these dogs away so they'll stop barking. Go ahead and talk, baby.
All right,
Hey.
I'm here.
Go, baby.
What's the subject? What are you guys talking about?
Well, we got super off topic and we were just talking about the keyboard warriors and stuff that troll the videos and whatnot.
So I was
Videos.
telling them about Vicious, babe. So Lacey asked if we can go on. She said hi. Brother Chuco too is here and said hi. But so we were talking about Vicious's video, how I was telling him that, girls like it. Because Lacey asked if we can go live on TikTok. And I told her, yeah, but we have to have 1,000 followers. We don't have that yet. So I brought up the fact that I posted Vicious and he got 6,000 for our profile, right? And then I was like, girls are on there, saying he's cute or whatever. But the first comments were from dudes being pissed off about it. And then I was explaining that. I was explaining the keyboard warrior stuff to you. Remember when we talked about it? Did we talk about it at Visit today? I don't think so.
About what?
About the keyboard warriors.
Oh, no, we're just talking about keyboard warriors. In prison, we got cell warriors, people that talk shit behind doors. And then when they come out, they're scared. And you work them over real good.
Babe, get your life together, dude. His laugh, he tells me all the time.
Well, overall, one thing, because we did get off topic, but that's okay. That's, we'll refine things as they come. But another thing is, like, when disagreements happen or like misunderstandings, everything is so heightened with us because we already have that separation. And then we can't see each other's facial expressions or read each other's body language, So that makes a difference in the interaction. And sometimes it makes it way more difficult to get to common ground.
So, like, when I used to write, I should try to, like, express myself or be descriptive about things to try to fill some of those blanks in right there. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm feeling a certain way, like I even do I'll do little drawings on the side, little faces and stuff. But I try to. I mean, you can never replace those things. You know what I mean? But that's what I should try to do in my letters and stuff like that. With do stuff like that.
Girl, let me tell you, he used to write me 18-page letters, front and back. And then the little drawings he's talking about. He'll be like describing something and draw a little picture on the side. And I'm like, really, babe? Like, get your shit together, dude.
Visuals, okay? Visuals.
So we did talk about that too, babe, about how, I was talking about my friendship with Alicia and how it helps me you know, when we're struggling sometimes, when I'm sad or when I'm missing you or when I'm just feeling emotional, you know, I was like, we kind of hype each other up too when we're fighting. But
When you being a girl?
yeah, when we're being girls.
Oh.
She's so fucking extra, dude.
It's funny.
But yeah, what the hell were we talking about? I'll get distracted so easily, dude. I swear.
Okay. But then that was mostly it. You know, we were just talking about the different aspects of communication and just ups and downs that we deal with when we.
I don't think anybody will have communication down pat. You'll always have like little wrinkles in relationship, you know what I mean? Because nobody's perfect. You'll always have little things, but I think that for the most part, if you have that open communication, that a lot of things will be sorted out and worked out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we talked about earlier, like how we got ours down pretty good. I mean, we've been through it. Like we fought. There was a period of time where it was just constant fighting because we just weren't hearing each other. You know what I mean? And now we do good for the most part, but we did have a fight last night, and it's like we talked about it at visit today, and I'm like, sometimes we need to just be like, you know, take a minute, call me back in like 10 minutes so we can both breathe, because me and him have the same type of personality. Like we both have to win, we have to be right. You know what I mean? You have to agree. Would you stop? You have to. She keeps getting her hair on me, but with, you know, you have to agree with me. Like I have to be right, he has to be right. So I'm like, it don't work like that. We start shutting down. You know what I mean? We were doing that last night. So he had to lock down. And that gave us the time that we needed to sit back and think about what was being said, and, you know, on both ends, like why we were both wrong. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of it too, like talking about it and understanding the part you played.
Mm-hmm.
Right, babe?
Yeah, so like for me, like I think I get defensive first, you know what I mean? And then I know I'm wrong, but you know, I still want to defend myself. So I'll go a few rounds, but it's taking me a while to be able to come around and admit when I'm wrong. I'm talking about when it comes to our relationship, when it's a situation that we're arguing about or something like that. Because I hate to have to be called on something that I did wrong. So I'm always trying to make sure that I'm doing things the right way, or I did this, and so then I get caught on it, and it's like, what? Hold up. So then I want to find a reason to try to pick it apart, and the parts that I did do right, even though the main thing of it was wrong, you know what I mean? But I get defensive, but we work it out. There's certain things that I don't like speaking up. I can't deal with that. But I get us talking like, hey, look, you know me, I'm upset. I'm gonna take a break, and that's it. I'll call you later. I can do that, but breaks, relationship breaks, nah. For me, a break is a break is a break. It's over with. That's a wrap. I don't care if it was for 1 day, 2 days. Nope. That's a wrap. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, whatever. I'm saying that's how I feel.
I'm glad you made it that, because this shit is being recorded. So later on, when you try to tell me you didn't say what you just said, I'm bringing it back up, sir.
I'm still going to be defensive.
Yeah, but so we had.
I'll make you work for the win.
So, but that was just my point. Like we used to fight back, you know, back in the day we used to fight and we both had to be right. Like now we got to a place where we talk, you know what I mean? But there's going to be days like last night we talked about our fight because it got pretty bad for a minute. But we talked about it and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to explain to him like what parts hurt me, like what he did in the fight, you know what I mean? And he wouldn't get that. But his comeback was always like, but babe, I don't want to learn how to fight better with you. I don't want to fight at all. That's unrealistic. Because I don't care what relationship you're in or how perfect you guys think your relationship is, you're going to fight. Like that's just, you're going to fight. You know what I mean? Like me and you, we're gonna have little tits and tats arguments. Me and him, we're gonna have that. He tries to avoid it altogether, but that's not healthy either. You know what I mean? We can't agree on everything.
But I like that what we fight about though isn't really our stuff, and it isn't really like fight stuff that everybody else deals with. So we're not really dealing with insecurity stuff, jealousy stuff. Who are you talking to? I seen that you were talking. I heard somebody was talking to you, or did this and that, or we're not fighting over stuff like that. We're fighting over like frivolous stuff, deals, and something else or whatever. And that's cool. I'm fine with that. I mean, I still defend myself on that, and but it's just simple stuff like that. Because all the other stuff, man, I hate that. But I hate to fight, so I try to avoid fights because, I'm not good in them situations because I can take it too far. I get out of hand.
And that's the thing too that we talked about. Like I'm like, he can separate his feelings good. We were talking about that earlier. Like, he'll put it in a box here, put it over here, and not deal with it. But when he gets angry like that, and I was trying to explain to him last night, like he treats me like I feel like he treats me like he treats his friends in there. Like he gets mad at them, like he goes for it to hurt you. You know what I mean? Like to do the most. And he was trying to do that last night. And I'm like, dude, I'm your wife. I ain't your fucking friend. I ain't these guys that you're in there with that you gotta defend yourself against. I'm the other half of you. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing that we're working on now, but on both ends, because I'm wrong too when sometimes I say stuff because it's my own insecurities, and that's what happened last night. I was defensive with him with something him and his friend were saying because it's something that I'm insecure about. And so I said something that triggered him because it triggered me, and then he just kept going back and forth, you know what I mean? We have to take a step back and be like, wait a minute. Like, and I tell him that a lot. So I'm always like, you're not listening to understand, you're listening to reply to me. Like, understand what I'm trying to tell you. But I was doing the same thing. So I was telling him this, but I was doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're not perfect. We're going to argue. We're going to fight. But talking helps a lot. Whether your husband's in prison or he's not. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of people don't understand. They don't listen to understand. They listen to reply.
Because you wear me down, and it's like, I'm exhausted.
Whatever. You talk all that shit, but you called back and apologized first because you knew where you were wrong.
Oh, I knew I was wrong, but just, you know what I mean? But it's like, I just hate going there because I'm ugly, so I don't like to get in that spot, you know what I mean? Because I'm one of the best at it, so you don't ever want to take me there. And I get in this zone, I don't like to be in that zone. Not with somebody I love, not with somebody I care about, because I get defensive wounds on me too, so you know what I mean? I push that knife in, I start twisting it, and the handle breaks off, and I cut my hand, and it just, you know what I mean? I can't stop. It just sucks, you know what I mean? But I don't like to go there, I just try to avoid all that.
So how do you and your husband handle disagreements like that? Is it kind of the same thing, or?
I mean, we've definitely grown a lot. I think because I guess it's an up and down of that too. We only have phone calls for the most part, but at the same time, that forces you to have to grow with one another and communicate more effectively. I mean, sometimes I'm just emotional. I'm a woman, and sometimes I only speak with emotion, like I feel this and I feel that. And my husband is very, very logical. So he's like, I get that's what you feel, but these are the facts. And I feel unheard when he does that at times. But at the end of the day, like you said, we take a step back and then come back together. And I think even it seems so simple, but even with that, like our faith plays a part in that. Because the way we believe about, the way you speak the tongue is like, that's one of the destructions of man, one of the 3 things of destruction of man. So yeah, I I have had to work on that big time because I used to really like cut a person down with my words. Like I'd be very, and I would do it in a very, I'd use big words and some more and try and talk over a person's head, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that would make him so angry and like, that's not right of me, you know? Like that, like your husband was saying, that's the man that I love. Why would I want to like hurt him, you know? So we've definitely grown a lot and we've again, we're not perfect, but we've taken the time and the work to really talk through and understand each other's emotions and how each other communicates, you know, like
Yeah.
what each other needs.
So what was that class that you took that I liked, babe, that helped a lot with you opening your eyes?
The 7 habits of
Yeah.
highly effective people.
Yeah, that's the 7 habits. Because when you say that, listen to understand and not to respond, that's part of 7 habits.
And what was the other one about the bank?
The emotional bank account.
So I absolutely love that.
You say and do that you invest in that bank account.
So I love that he took that because he every week when he was in that class, he'd come back and be like, babe, like I learned this, and he would say, you know, things, and it did help our relationship a lot because it made him realize, because I was always saying that, like, we're not surface level, dude. Like, you're gonna open up to me, and it took me a long time to get him to be comfortable with opening it up and telling me how he feels, because he's a guarded person, and I get it.
Yeah.
Lacey, did you see what Lacey asked?
Mm-hmm. So, how do you deal with being Muslim and your husband in prison? How do your parents feel about that? So, I actually wasn't raised Muslim. My parents are.
We're Mexican or brown.
Yeah, I'm Mexican Latina. Even though even before I started wearing hijab, people would think I'm Middle Eastern and Indian. Everything but Mexican, really. But being Muslim and my husband being in prison, it's honestly helped the path. It's helped me have something higher and helped me have some guidance to deal with my emotions about it when it gets tough and not feel so lonely. My parents, they've never disapproved. They are just, and it comes from a good place. At the very beginning when I first married my husband, because we were together for a while and then I got married to him while he was in prison. And they were just like, they just wanted me to fully understand my choice of marrying him. Because my parents, they've been married 20 plus years. So marriage is forever to them. They regard it very highly. And so they just wanted me to understand and make sure everything I was getting into, I guess. But they get sad for me sometimes because he's not here in person, you know? I don't have that presence. I don't have the stereotype, so to speak, or of what a man is supposed to be, a provider and whatnot, you know? But he does provide so many other things. And within the time we've been together, like they've been able to slowly see that. So they're a lot more supportive. That was a long answer. I'm sorry, but I hope it answered the question.
You're good, but that because you wear the hijab and stuff, like that's gonna come up a lot in our lives with different people, you know, because obviously we're gonna get more supporters and more people following us, and so that's gonna be a question. Do you have, like, does it bother you that people ask about it or ask about it?
No, I'm very open, you know, and as long as nobody's disrespectful, of course, because it's God first. So if anything were to be disrespectful, I will stand firm respectfully, and then my husband, you know, but as long as it's respectful, no, I have no issues ever answering any questions. I do. There's one here.
What, babe?
I said that's trust. Because I always said that was down. I was like, that time that she did that with him. You know what I mean? because she trusted him in teaching her about it and bringing her into it, and her being a part of that for her man, not just something to show at a visit, but outside of that, I was like, man, that's pretty tight right there. But she had to trust him in order to to fall into that and be a part of that. But I always thought that was tight to see that.
Your husband's supposed to be able to lead you,
Mhm.
and you have to trust him to be able to do that. That's part of marriage.
And with my husband, like, yeah, I'll be honest, it did take a lot of
10
trust.
seconds remaining.
I mean, I grew up knowing Christianity and Catholicism, so it was a big change for me. He never forced it upon me at all, though. He just was like, I just want you to at least understand what I feel and believe in. And then little by little, I was like, this is the truth for me. And I grew to love it and I converted.
Are you going on lockdown now, Bibi?
You have 30 seconds remaining.
So there'll be a little gap because
Okay.
I'm going to be locking out for council anywhere from 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
Think about like 9:45 or 9:30 or something.
All right. I love you.
And
Mom, where's my kisses? Because we're on live. You don't want to give me kisses and tell me how much you love me? That's full.
I do go to a mosque. They have one here in my town where I live, so it's just a building, honestly. So it's not like the fancy ones you see in other countries, It's just a building in the inside. They have the males and females separate, but it's nice. There's not a big community in my town, but it's nice to have at least one other person,
So do they know that your husband's in prison, the mosque you go to?
It is very conservative. So to answer that question, I'm not very vocal about it in the mosque. Half of it is because not all the women speak English, it's Arabic or just many other languages, mostly from the Middle East. So I kind of don't know how to talk to them. I'm learning Arabic little by little, but it's a hard language. It's a beautiful language, just hard. It's a little bit hard, but I can say I get the least judgment from the sisters just because them coming from other countries to the US, and they're not always from other countries, but they're raised in that different type of culture. Some are, US born, but they're just very closed off to the rest of the world, kind of. So yeah, they're the least judgmental, and I don't know if that's because of lack of understanding or because of bigger understanding, because they understand what it is to be scrutinized and whatnot too, and judged and talked down upon, And that is also just a practice of Islam. Like, you don't judge a brother or sister, But yeah, I think it's multi-layered as for why they are a lot more open than I've experienced day to day with any other aspect of my life.
So you missed that, Lacey. We kind of touched on that. We kind of touched on our families being judgmental. So, like for me, my mom loves Gerard. Like she talks to him. She's on his visit list. She's going to be visiting him soon because we have our daughter together. So he's always been around, regardless of being together or not. Like he's always been there. So that relationship's a little different. My brother is supportive of me because he loves me. I know sometimes he gets, he worries because we talked about that. He just, gets upset. Not so much upset, but we did have that conversation because he just wants me to be able to do things. You know what I mean? I travel a lot. So with my friends, we were traveling like 2-3 times a year. And he's like, it would be nice for you to have your husband there to travel with. Yes, it would be nice. Duh. You know what I mean? But that's not our reality right now. But as for the rest of my family, I get snide comments here and there. My cousin said some wild shit not that long ago. But for the most part, I think my family doesn't really say much to me. Like they'll say smart shit here and there, but I have a bad temper. So, you know, I'm known as the cousin that fights. So they know better not to say stuff to me. They'll say stuff behind my back, which doesn't make it any better. But I'll see, like on Facebook, I do get in my feelings sometimes because I'll post my husband and my daughter, you know, and I'll post a picture of myself and get 100 likes or whatever. Like, I don't care, but it's just an example, you know, 30, 40 likes, like all my family's liking it. Oh, you're gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. But then I'll post me and my husband and I'll get like 7. You know what I mean? And I'm at the point in my life, and my mom gets upset with me because I'm like, I'm going to give you what you give me. My mom's always be the bigger person, you know, show up for people. Nay, fuck that already. If I can't expect it from you, don't expect that shit from me. If you're not going to support me, I'm not going to support you. I'm tired of this be the bigger person shit. No, I'm not doing it anymore. So, you know, it's a ugly balance with family, but it's like, we kind of talked about that too. Like people judge because we're with somebody that's locked up, but that doesn't make them a bad person per se. You know, there's guys you could be with out on the streets that'll do you super dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. You know, you can never win. My husband said that good, you know, when we had that conversation too, like there's girls in relationships where they're getting beat daily by their dudes and their family don't speak up saying nothing, but you be with somebody that's locked up and they got a whole lot to say. You know what I mean? Like make that make sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we did touch on that. Like it, for me, sometimes it's a touchy subject because it's like my family expects loyalty. You know, they expect support, but if you don't give it to me, why should I give it to you? And that's the thing with my family or my friends. Like everybody knows I'm vocal. I'm not the type of person to sit back and be like, you know, shit all over me or walk all over me. I'm not going to say nothing. Like, no, I'm going to say something and we're going to, you know, have words. So sometimes that's a bad thing, I think. Sometimes it's a good thing because what you don't know don't hurt you. So, you know, if they talk shit about me and my relationship behind my back, cool. They'll never have enough balls to say it to my face. And if it is, it's something like smart ass, you know what I mean? Like a stupid comment. But it is what it is. Some people just suck. I just think it's annoying when it's family, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you think of family as they should support you. They should be there. They should love you as you do for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And to each their own. It's just like some of the things they say, okay. It's like if it comes from a good place and it's meant well, that's one thing. But when it's passive aggressive or just straight rude, like that's kind of messed up.
So I met your cousin while he was locked up. We had our daughter while he was locked up. And that'll be an episode that we talk about because I'm going to let him tell the story on that about where we went, you know, how everything transpired and how we got to where we're at now. But that's all our daughter's ever known is her dad being where he's at, you know, and we'll talk about that more. But we've had our moments where it was heartbreaking. We've had our moments where, for the most part, it's been good because he's been an active father from the beginning. Whether it was sending money to help with diapers, milk, checking on her, you know. Donna, at the beginning, sent me money for Teo one year for Christmas. I don't know, that's a whole nother subject. But, you know, like, that's all we've ever known. I know when my husband was in Illinois, it was sad because, you know, my daughter was young and we asked her, we were talking about bucket lists. And I was like, you know what, baby, she had to have been like maybe 13, I want to say. She was young. But I was like, you know, we were all talking about what we wanted to do on our bucket list. You know, normal people, well, I don't want to say normal people, but for us, it was like, I want to go to Hawaii or Puerto Rico or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, or buy a house or whatever. So my daughter's bucket list was that she wanted to see her dad. So we hadn't seen him since he was in New Mexico. I don't know exactly what of where he was bounced around to. But I would see him in Arizona, and then he got moved to New Mexico, so we were there once a month. I was there with our daughter all the time, seeing him until he got moved to Illinois. So once he went to Illinois, it was really bad. I was never able to go out there. Like, I was taking care of 3 kids on my own, so it wasn't feasible for us. But she did. We were talking about bucket lists, and she's like, I asked her, what's your bucket list? And she's all, I want to see my dad. And that, I know he gets upset and he'll get mad when we talk about it, but that was heartbreaking, you know what I mean? To hear your daughter say, anything in the world you can have, she wanted to be able to see her dad. That's hard.
That's heavy. And it's like, that's, even though, it's due to circumstance, that's a down of the relationship. It's hard because, yes, he can call as much as he wants, but at the end of the day, you're the one there 24/7 holding that together for her, picking up that,
Yeah. So he gets upset because he doesn't like talking about stuff like that, but he's been there for her from day one. A lot of kids don't know how to write and cursive because they stopped doing that in school. My 2 older kids don't know how to sign their name. They'll sign it, regular writing. Our daughter knows how to do cursive. My daughter knows how to draw because of her dad. My daughter knows about her history because of the books that he sent her, the conversations that they have, the letters he sent. Like, he's been the best dad. He's always active. I have 2 older kids, then that's just like giving you an example. Like, I have 2 older kids. Their dad is in the free world. He got a good job. He owns his own house. Couldn't give 2 fucks to be involved. His thing is, oh, I give you child support. That's enough. What? What I mean? He has all day, all night to be here for these kids. He can, my kids have always had cell phones since they can have cell phones, middle school. And this fool's never reached out and did anything. Taya's dad is a constant. He's been a constant. He's been there. He's taught her. He's loved her. You know what I mean? Like, we have a good kid because of that. Our daughter is an electrician at the age of 18. I talked about this earlier. She just bought her first car, which is more expensive than any car I've ever bought. And I'm bougie with my stuff. Alicia can attest to that with my cars and stuff, But she did it on her own. She didn't need nobody to sign for her. She didn't need nobody to help her with money. And to be honest with you, I don't know where the hell she gets that shit from her dad. Not from me, because I can't save to save my life. Like, I got $2 in savings right now. My daughter's like, Mom, look at my savings, like $3,000. And I'm all, can I borrow some money?
Right.
But yeah, she's super good. And I think that has to do with the fact that her dad was always there. Mm-hmm. There is hard moments, you know what I mean? It when he got moved to where we're at now, it was good because, it was always behind glass. He was always in Super Max. You know what I mean? I remember when she was 6 months and I took him to New Mexico and he was messing with her. And you could see the hurt in his face. She's climbing there. There was like a little desk part where you can, put your arms and stuff. So I put the baby up there and he's like, you could see the devastation and the hurt in his face. Like, he's like going like this to her and she's not understanding. And if you ever get to see him and see his reaction to the way he's seen her face, because I couldn't. I just seen the back of her. But she's crying and she's like pounding on the glass. Like, she can't understand why she can't get to her dad.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there saying she kept getting mad and going, and blowing her cheeks up and like punching the glass because she just wanted to be in her dad's arms. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's all we've ever known. So when he got here, we had contact visit, or we have contact visits. So, it was the cutest thing to watch. As soon as he got here, we went to go see him and like, he didn't want to let her go. You know what I mean? And then it's so weird because I'm sitting there looking at both of them. She was underage at the time. So they can sit on the same side of the table and he could hug her the whole time and stuff. And I'm like looking at them talk to each other. And then they talk back to me and like their mannerisms, the way they moved their head, the way they did their face, their facial expressions, the same. It was like looking at the same it was crazy. And he even looks at her and he's like, it's crazy that she has my mannerisms and stuff, because she's, you know, she's seen her dad through glass and stuff, and on video visits in Illinois a little bit, but not a whole lot. You know what I mean? For her to have the same things that he
All
has.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely a trip to see that. You know what I mean? To just sit there, like I'll sit there and just look all dreamy, staring at her and him talk to each other and
Yeah.
be doing the same things. You know what I mean? It's definitely a trip, but he's been a good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lacey said he appreciates anything that brings any normalcy of non-prison life, so he tries really hard for her. Yeah. And he definitely did. He'll talk about that too when he calls, but he the way he was brought up, he wants to do everything different. Like he wants to be the loving father that, you know,
She never had.
he wants to be the loving parent that he felt he never had. You know, all I know is stories that he's told me, which were the greatest. And I do know Donna. I've talked to her on my own, so I kind of know more or less what he's talking about. You know what I mean? I went out there a couple years ago so that his son and his daughter can get together. And Petunia, we went to go see his aunt and his grandma before she had passed, because that's the one thing he asked me. He was like, I want my daughter to go out there and meet my Nana before she passes, you know? So I did take her out there and she got to meet her brother. That was a trip, because if you see the pictures of them together, that's definitely a trip. Petunia could attest to that, because we went to eat and just looking at him is crazy. And then we got to meet, you know, I've always been pretty cool with his brother. So his brother comes out here. One of his brothers comes out here and, you know, he tattoos us, and he comes out here to see Taya. Like he was supposed to be here for graduation and came the year before. I've been out to Arizona a few times and met up with them and his sister and stuff. I don't know, dude. It's we keep getting sidetracked off of different subjects, but that's gonna happen. But yeah, it's a trip.
I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen the pictures, Lacey, on the Facebook. I can send them to you, but there's pictures of Petunia with little Gerard and with Taya. There's pictures of Taya and little Gerard together. And then with Nana too. You know, there's pictures of them. And it's trippy. Like, so I get when we first met, he was getting out of his thing with Patricia. And she, you know, she talked shit about my daughter. So it's funny because I have all these messages still. She was going off. And I get it. I get the jealousy. I get you guys weren't together. I get all that bullshit, right? So she talked so much shit when our daughter was born and she found out about her and stuff. So, you know, 2017 rolls around and I show up over there and we take pictures. And she's on Facebook talking about, oh my God, Taya, you look just like your brother. You guys have both the beautifulest smiles, this and that. And like me and my husband got a kick out of that, because it's like, I still got the letters where you're talking shit. You know what I mean? I still got all of that. And then for you to say it later, like, yeah, they look like each other. Like, no shit, Sherlock. But people still have their opinions. You know what I mean? Because of our circumstances, people talk shit. And it's just like, you know, you could have your opinion. Keep that shit over there. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't come over here trying to disturb our peace, because our family's fine. We're good. We're good over here. I take care of my husband. My husband takes care of me. He's always taking care of our daughter. So if you want to be on some negative bullshit, keep that over there. Like, I'm not for it. And especially when it comes to him, because he already has a hard enough time. You know what I mean? And if you're not here to love and support him, then get the fuck on.
There's no room here. Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely to anybody. Like, I'm not talking to you guys specifically, because Petunia's always there. And I barely started to getting to meet you, Lacey, and, you know, a couple other people. Tino, I've always been around since the beginning. But I'm just mean in general. I mean, my family, friends, I just don't care. You know, he's my life. He's everything to me. So I'm going to defend him, our relationship, our daughter, to the death of me. And that's just what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta see those pictures. They're cute. It's like her and little Gerard are laughing, and it's like the cutest shit ever. Like I'll go back and look at those pictures now. I'm like, oh, when they were babies. I mean, technically he was an adult at that point, but it's cute. And then to see them. Do you remember, Petunia, when we got there? His nana was like, she was thinking little Gerard was his dad and Tia was his daughter. And Petunia had to explain to her that, you know, it was little Gerard and Tia, not big Gerard.
Mm.
But it was cute, dude. It was definitely a good trip. Like, I was happy to be out there and for her to be able to be there and meet her nana, his nana, while she was still here. She was the cutest, dude. She is the freaking cutest.
That is cute.
Now she has the longest hair, dude. Like, he got the thing with long hair. So, like, our daughter, you've seen her. Like, I mean, you know my kid. But she, like, I would mess with her and be like, cut your hair. And she's like, since she was little, I can't cut my hair. My dad will get mad at me.
No.
Dad will get mad. So she would never cut her hair. But it's still, like, long as shit to this day. But like, you know, you see little old ladies. They're the cutest. But when do you see little old ladies with long hair? You know what I mean? Like, his grandma had long, beautiful hair still. Like,
Yeah.
dude, and that's like rare. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. Like, she was just the cutest lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, we touched on all that, Lacey. I think, like, as we go on with these episodes, we're gonna start touching on, you know, like today it was relationships, but we veered off into a few different things, which we're gonna do. Avalicia brought up a good thing, or a good, I don't want to say a point, but a topic. So, like, not just prison wife stuff that we go through. You know, this is about our husbands and our lives, but like everyday topic stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? Like, what's in the news recently, or what's the trend?
The submarine thing. I guess that's
Oh
going
my
on.
god. Not the submarine thing. So what is your take on that? Just since we're already here.
I think it's reckless and crazy and sad.
So I've been getting like depending on what I'm looking at, like some people are pissed off that people are making jokes about it and memes and whatnot. And then some people are just like they're rich. They don't give a fuck about us. Why should we care about them? You know what I mean? So like I've been seeing both people going crazy about that. But that's going to be a thing we talk about too. Like, we could talk about anything on here. It's mainly about our lives and the struggles that we go through with our husbands, being that when we talked in our introduction video, I don't know if you got to see it, but both of our husbands have life sentences, hence the name Married Lifers. I have faith in God that my husband will come home one day. I always had that. And I'll hold on to that until my dying breath. You know what I mean? I don't think he's meant to be there forever. I think he's meant to come home to our daughter and myself. God willing, he will one day. You know what I mean? But we're talking about the struggles that we go through while he's there. Well, right now there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so go ahead.
And that'll be a lot of it, but I mean, it's not all negative, you know? Like, yeah, we do struggle and it's just giving you guys more insight and whatnot to what it's really like balancing all aspects of our lives along with having our husbands that happen to be in prison. So, because there's positives to it too. I mean,
That's what I was gonna say. There's a lot of good. Like, I'm not. Hold on, guys. Go ahead, I'll wait till you talk.
yeah, I mean, it's just not all about the negatives. It's just life in general, balancing all the different aspects. Like Naomi was saying, she has 2 jobs and children. I have a job that varies day to day. Might be very taxing some days not. And I do school full time, you know, and balancing family as well. I'm very close to my family. And so, yeah, it's just there's a lot of high points too. But, you know, by default, there is a lot of struggles as well. So we'll cover really everything as time goes on.
The biggest thing with it too is like a lot of people think so negatively about it. You know what I mean? They don't understand until you put it in like examples. They don't understand that there's nothing wrong with being in love with somebody that's in prison, or loving someone, or having your husband be there. A lot of people right away think negative because they're in prison, which we're trying to shed light on the fact that it's not. Like, our lives are just like anybody else's. Except for our husbands are, an hour away, 2 hours away, or whatever it is. And my husband trips me out because he's like, it's just like, he's like, tell our daughter I'm on a business trip. That's all it is. It's like I'm on a business trip. You know what I mean? To try and ease it. I mean, obviously she's older now, so she gets it, but that's the equivalent to him. It's like being away on a business trip. Like, he's still very much involved. The girls were just being drama last weekend, and we literally wasted 50 calls so he can yell at them. He's involved, and that's what people don't get. They're like, oh, your husband's not here, so he's not a good dad, or he's not involved. My husband is involved. He's been since day one with our daughter. She'll be 19 Saturday. You know what I mean? So just trying to shed light on that and talk about our struggles and our goods. Like, we have a lot of goods too, and they don't say that. They just say, oh, he's in prison, everything's bad. Everything's not bad.
Just shining a light on the full picture and breaking the stigma somewhat. But thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been fun, and we look forward to other ones. Tune in, get your friends to join too, and help us grow and build.
The one thing I did want to bring up too is we did talk about Avalicia's husband being in close custody and the time frames being different. So when we do a subject that he wants to be involved in, we're going to do earlier. So I get you guys that are on now that have been with us are in a different state. So you guys are an hour behind us. So like on those ones, we're going to be probably doing like 6:30 our time, just so that her husband can be involved with us as well. But we'll let you guys know that. I'm thinking maybe those ones we can do on like a Friday, maybe.
Yeah, we'll do those ones. We'll
you could talk
notify everybody beforehand.
You
because 6:30, he's pretty much on lockdown by then. So 6:30 won't work either.
Well, you know what I mean, like an earlier time.
But it will be earlier, and we'll give you guys notice. And maybe sometimes they'll be pre-recorded too. His responses anyways, not the actual.
Yeah. So you could talk to him and see what day works better for him to be on, even if it's just for a little bit, you know what I mean? For whatever his duration of his calls is, because he doesn't get I don't think he doesn't get the back-to-back calls like my husband does. He maybe get one or two, right?
It depends. Sometimes we'll be on the phone for 2 hours.
Oh, so, like that, huh?
Yeah, so it just depends.
Yeah, and a lot of things people don't understand either is they have jobs in there. My husband has a job that he goes to every day there. Like, I go to a job, he goes to a job. Her husband has a job in there. You know what I mean? Like, they keep themselves busy and they're productive. They're not just in there wasting time.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's doing that, Petunia. I'll look at it and see, because I put the notifications on, and a few people told me that they're not getting the notifications for them. So that's weird to me, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll let you guys know. I'll reach out to you and let you guys know. Like, we're posting on my page, on my husband's page. And then on our TikTok stuff, we'll post it too when we have the videos or when we have the lives. I'm hoping we can get subscribers on TikTok. But to be honest with you, I was talking to one of the other girls, one of the other well-known prison wives on TikTok. And she's moving away from TikTok because they're not giving the prison wives the notice that they deserve, or that we deserve. You know what I mean? Like, they'll bury our videos when it has something to do with the prison wife stuff. So she's moving away from that and coming to YouTube. So I don't know, I'm not really pushing for TikTok all that much. I do put on there because I do have a lot of friends that are in the same situation as us. Not the exact same, because a lot of girls that I do talk to, their husbands have outdates. Some don't. But you know what I mean? Like, we're going to have guests on here from different walks of life, different states, different scenarios. You know what I mean? People that have husbands that have out dates. Some of us don't have out dates. You know what I mean? Everybody, like for the most part, we're all on the same path because our husbands are in prison. But everybody's, would you say that everybody's journey is different, but we're on the same path, or the other way around? We're on the same,
I think they
we're
get
on the same path, but our journey to get there is different. So we're all going to the same road at the end of the road, but our journeys are a little bit different. You know, some of us have kids, some don't have kids, some don't want kids, some have step kids. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different things. Your cousin would love you right now. He's always saying, make it make sense. I can't with that stupid saying. But yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, we'll be back on next Saturday. I'll put the notifications to see what's going on. I don't know what our subject's going to be, but like today we started with relationships. But there's so many different aspects of the relationship where we're going to be talking about them in multiple episodes. You know what I mean? And if there's something else that you guys want to hear about, or you want to ask about, or you want us to make an episode about, like, just let us know and we'll do that. I mean, any suggestions are welcome. We're like, this is barely our second one, so we're getting our feet wet and we're trying to get used to it and figure out what works, what doesn't, you know, backgrounds, everything.
Yeah, any feedback, ideas, etc. is nice. You know, help us get better and help us grow. So I think that's everything. Thanks.
All right. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for talking to us and interacting. We really appreciate you guys, you ladies, I should say. Thank you for that. And we will see you guys.
It must have been an emoji. It didn't.
Yeah, because I was like, heart. Are you sending me a Philly cheesesteak? Just kidding. I can only eat like this much of it, but obviously I'll eat the rest. All right. Good night, guys. We'll see you next Saturday. Thank you for joining us.